How's it going, guys? It's Kevin from SubiSpeed. Quarantine has got to me, and I've been wanting another car that I could take to the track. Even though we have a bunch of cars here, I can't take them out on the track with other cars because of insurance issues and because they're company cars. So instead, I decided to get my own. I went down to Houston, picked up this cheap FRS. It's nowhere near perfect, but it runs and drives, and that is exactly what I needed to do. The plan here is to turn it into a nice streetable track car that I can drive to the track, have some fun, and drive home. Our first event is next weekend, Gridlife Midsummer Meet at Mid-Ohio. We're gonna be running in the beginner HPD class so that those of you who have never had any performance driving experience before can see what it's like to go out on track for the first time. If you have never had any track experience before, this is the perfect way to get out there for the first time in a safe and controlled environment. And it's awesome to see all the other experienced drivers in HPD, Time Attack, and GLTC, and it just makes for a fun weekend. If you have any interest whatsoever in grassroots motorsports, I highly recommend you find one of these events near you and make a trip out of it. You don't need anything special. A stock BRZ, WRX, or STI will work perfectly fine for you for your first time, but you do have to look over your car and make sure that it's ready to go out on track, which is exactly what we're gonna be talking about today. I need to do some track prep on the FRS, like I said, and make sure it's ready to go. First things first, we want to check the oil to make sure that you've got enough in there. And if you haven't done an oil change in the last few thousand miles, you may want to throw some fresh oil in there just to be safe. We also need to check the rest of your fluids, like your coolant, make sure that is topped off. Take a look at your brake fluid. If that's really discolored, you're probably gonna wanna do a full flush, which is what I'm gonna do because I'm gonna be installing some stainless steel brake lines anyway. If not, you may want to at least do a brake bleed. While we're down here bleeding the brakes, it's a good time to check out your brake pads to make sure that there is enough compound left on them. You don't want to go into a corner on track braking with no compound left on your backing plates. It's not going to be a good time, so make sure you take a look at those. Also, for your tires, you want to make sure that there is at least 4/32 of an inch of tread left on your tires. Easiest way to measure that without a gauge is to take a quarter here, put it down into your tire, and if the tread touches George's head, you're good to go. Now, if you plan on doing more track days, there are some upgrades that I'd recommend. The first one being high performance brake fluid. You're gonna be pushing your brake system a lot harder out on the track than you would on the street, and the temps are going to be a lot higher. High performance brake fluid has a higher boiling point to help deal with those high temps. Also, along with that, eventually you're gonna wanna upgrade your brake pads as well so you can stop faster. Performance brake pads are not only going to have a stronger initial bite, but they're also going to be more resistant to brake fade. Aftermarket wheels, tires, and suspension are gonna be nice upgrades to have later on down the road. But like I said, for your first time, it's perfectly fine to have a stock car. In fact, I'd actually recommend it so that when you do start throwing parts at your car, you can actually feel the difference and know how different parts are going to affect how your car feels. So those are the main things you're gonna wanna look at on your car before you get to the track, but we're also gonna quickly talk about some things that you'll wanna toss into your car to have during the track weekend. The first one being a torque wrench. This is gonna allow you to torque your lug nuts before each session, and keep in mind if you happen to have aftermarket lug nuts, make sure you don't forget the lug nut key. A tire pressure gauge and pump are also very useful to have. I'd also recommend bringing along some spare fluids just in case, some oil, brake fluid if you need to do a brake bleed at the track, and coolant. And I usually bring some glass cleaner and microfibers to keep your windshield clean because obviously you need to be able to see clearly out of your windshield. So that's a quick and dirty guide on things for your car, but you also need some stuff for yourself. You need a pair of long pants, preferably red so you go faster. You need a pair of closed-toed shoes and a helmet of the correct certification. I'd also recommend you bring a folding chair unless you want to sit on the ground or in your car during your downtime. You need a cooler with plenty of water to stay hydrated. Believe it or not, driving out on the track takes a lot out of you both mentally and physically, and if it's a hot weekend out, that sun is going to be beating down on you and you need to stay hydrated and take care of yourself. Now, for those of you who are wondering why I haven't talked about go fast parts, well, keep in mind that HPD is not a race. You're not out there competing for money or a trophy. You're out there to have fun. And if you go out and send it 110% on your first lap, put your car into a wall, or go off in a bad spot, they're gonna have to take the time to come out and tow your ass and that is just gonna ruin the session for everybody and nobody's gonna have fun, and you're gonna be that guy. I don't want you to be that guy. Go out there, stay safe, drive within the limits of your car and yourself, leave your ego at home, and have fun. Again, the most important thing is staying safe and having fun out there. And that pretty much covers it, guys. If you have any suggestions, or if I missed something, or if you have any track suggestions for me, leave them in the comment section down below. If you guys have any questions, feel free to email us. I'll see you guys at the track.